Hello and welcome to this second lesson of the section dedicated to administrative skills of the first level, in which we will develop our reasoning on the first point of the slide that we left in the previous lesson. Let's open the slides, click on the Power and Permission System, and enter this first topic, that is, the macro categories of action in Office 365. It is always good to categorize any subject that one is going to study. Not only computer science, but also any other type of discipline. Categorization is always very important, as it then gives us the possibility to have in advance a point of reference when other subpoints are detailed. And as we said in the previous lesson, within Office 365, before seeing what powers are mainly specific to the individual administration role, within the Office 365 account, we can essentially do three things. We can create objects, we can perform operations on these objects, and these objects can be shared. As you can hear, I'm talking about objects again, not individual applications. Therefore, creation means that there will always be the power to perform operations and to share these objects. The same cannot be said, however, for those who will only have the power to perform operations, as it is not guaranteed that they will also have the power to create these objects and share them. The same goes for those who will have the power to share a specific object, which does not mean that they will have the power to perform operations on this same object, or the power to create said objects. So we will open the first slide and the first concept, which is the creation of objects. Here I have cut out some screenshots from several Office 365 applications, specifically in the part where it says Create. Here, you can see how it is possible to create many objects in Office 365. In each application, it is possible to create something. So we start here at the top where there are screenshots related to the strict management environment of Office 365. If we read, we see that it is written here, as we have largely seen in the previous section, add a user. Here a user is created, add multiple users. Here, multiple users are created simultaneously, as we saw in the previous section. Add a team. So here a team is created in teams. Add an Office 365 group. Then an Office 365 group is created, and it is also possible to add and consequently create a guest in Teams. In the strict sense of administration, the same applies to applications. Here we have Planner. With this button, we will create a new plan. With this button in Teams, we will create a new team. In SharePoint, we will create a SharePoint site. We will create a sway, which is an environment, to make a dynamic presentation. Let's go back and now open the operations on the objects. As you can see, I have left the same screenshots by adding these small texts, because we are now in another concept, in another category, that is to say in operativity, that is to say what we can do. Operations can be carried out using objects. We can also use the operator and the objects once they have been created. Regarding users, for example, we can manage licenses. A user who was created without a license can receive an Office 365 license, or if they had a license with a certain degree of usability of Office 365. They can receive a license with higher capabilities. In the case where we have an Office 365 license, we can use the capacity of in an Office 365 group, an operational action rather than creation will be the addition of members. Regarding a guest, it will be the management of the contact's information, that is, adding personal data. In a planar plan, we will be able to add a task. This is also operational, as the planar plan has already been created. In Teams, it will be possible to send messages. In SharePoint, it will be possible to create a list that will function as a database. In Sway, it will be possible to attach images. In Form, after creating the form, it will be possible to configure the questionnaire. The person who configures the questionnaire will not necessarily have the power to create it. Therefore, they might not have the power to delete it, but only to create the pages. In Power Automate, they might not have the power to create or delete the flow, but to modify it, work on it, as well as in Power Apps to develop the application. In OneNote, I could write notes. In OneDrive, I could edit notes. So, we go back and see the last topic, which is sharing objects. Now here, I have removed the part related to the strict administration of Office 365 because there's no sharing done, only creations and actions performed. On the other hand, for other applications, if we go down to the applications in the strict sense of Office 365, here it is possible to share. It is possible to share the plan in Planner. It is possible to share in Outlook, for example, a post that is made in Teams. It is possible to share a SharePoint list, obviously, with other members of the organization, or even with guests who have been invited. Or, for example, the SharePoint site could also be displayed externally to people who have been invited. We could share our presentation with other members of the organization. We could share the questionnaire to show how it was conducted, so that other people can work on it, or so that they can answer the questions with which we want to collect data through this questionnaire. We can share the flow in Power Automate. We can share the Power Apps application so that it can be used, and consequently, data can be entered. Share a OneNote note because it could be useful. Because it could be useful at work, because we took this note and we want to show it currently. Obviously, first of all, we could share the OneDrive files. That, obviously, if we have the power to do these things, to create, operate, and share. And consequently, in the next lessons, by analyzing high-level administrative powers, we will see how the powers are assigned, and consequently, who within the Office 365 account can do what. People who can only share or who can do even more things together. I'll see you at the next lesson. Hello. Hello. Good night.